Going live. Hey everybody, GameHounds podcast. How are you? Sorry we are late. It's been already been a day. We'll talk about what's going on with Andrew, but it's just Nick and me today. How are you? How was your week?
I'm good. My week was good.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, yeah, we're just kind of tightening up what we're going to talk about today.
Let me know when you're about to go live.
I'm already live.
Oh, for the show?
Not for the show. We haven't started the show.
Yeah. Let me know when you start the show so I can turn the camera to the appropriate subject.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, you could turn the camera to the appropriate subject because I mean, it's not like the podcast listeners are going to really get a lot out of that. There we go. Kitty cats.
I'll just spend like the first 10 minutes like that. That's what people really want to see.
That is true. That's absolutely true. That's all we want to see right now. Right there. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I have the wrong banner up. Here we go. So yeah, we are GameHounds podcast, even though there's more cats in here than hounds. That's our website, gamehounds.net. Oh, by the way, if you're watching, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the thumbs up right now. And of course, our Patreon. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification tab. And if you can have it in your heart, spot us $1 a month so we can help keep this stream open. Yeah, that cat is so out. It's not really very good, even very good to watch. It's kind of like watching a panda sleeping. It's like, it's adorable, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's kind of boring. I mean, you could have a still shot.
Except it's not a still shot because you can see the blinds gently moving.
Yeah, thank God the blinds are moving. Otherwise, it could be a still. The cat could be completely fake. All right. Boop, boop, boop. All right, enough. We're being silly. Hey, Blood Reaper is in the chat room. How you doing? I see you too. AC Wraith, of course, is in here. And Bitters. And Corey. Hi, honey, I'm home. Hi, honey, I'm home. AC Wraith says, I saw an ear move. Intense action.
That was the highlight. That will be like timestamped in the video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ear flick.
All right. So anything else we need to talk about before we fire off the show? And I will explain the lack of Andrew when we start the show. Because I don't want no reason to do it twice. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna hit the lights here. Light me up a little bit more.
Why is it as soon as you start, my TV decides to randomly turn on?
Because I have that effect. All right. You ready?
Yes. Fucking go.
Corey Wallace says the cat's got more movement than Nick at times. Yeah, that's true. Hey. Bartender say. How you doing?
It's a good name.
All right. So let's see. We've got everything here. I just need to do some quick stuff. What did you do this week that has nothing to do with games?
I watched some more anime, but like no show that really grabbed my attention. I heard good things about the show called like Aka 13, which was supposed to be like this sort of alternate history political conspiracy thriller. But it's 12 episodes, and after 5 episodes, almost halfway through, I felt like nothing had happened.
Yeah, like, I've had stuff like that before.
So what's so frustrating too is the main character is kind of this he's a political auditor, which is like, well, that's a super boring job, but I can also see how you could get caught up in a conspiracy. He's bored all the time. And at one point, we see scenes of his bosses talking about him, and they suspect him of like trying to manage a coup, trying to create a coup to overthrow the king. And it's like, okay.
How appropriate that is.
And it's like, either his whole board slub shtick is an act and he's really like a master manipulator, or B, he really is just this bored dude who's being set up as a patsy, both of which are interesting stories.
Right.
One of those guys, one of his bosses, goes to him, talks to him, realizes this dude doesn't know shit, goes back to the other guys and says, yeah, this guy doesn't know shit. I'm going to defend him now if we talk about him. And so it's like, that's it. The two most interesting plots were like resolved without conflict in 20 minutes. And it's like, well, there's like fucking 6 episodes
What's
left.
the rest
What
of
else?
the show? Right.
Yeah, it was not very good.
All right, let me
then
go get some water before I start the show. I just realized I had forgotten to do that. So let me get water and then we will fire off the show in earnest.
Okay, I'll keep talking.
Okay.
And I saw another show, which I thought seemed kind of interesting. It seemed like a funny comedy called My First Girlfriend is a Gal. And it seemed like a really weird title. And it's like, okay, here's like a high school sex comedy, like American Pie. It's like, okay, that could be fun. But it was kind of boring and stupid. But the most interesting thing about it is the fact that they define this girl as gal, and it really feels like a translation thing where they wanted the girl that this guy is trying to date is really a valley girl. Like that's how we would describe her. In this like high school sex comedy thing that I watched a couple episodes of.
I find it amazing that you even know what a Valley Girl is. You know, Valley Girl was a song that you were not even thought about as a human being when that song came out.
When I was a kid and Clueless came out, like Clueless kind of typified the whole like, you know, dim valley girl, like, oh. But anyways, so
I
in
guess
this
Frank
anime,
Zappa should be appreciative of Clueless.
sure. You know,
Were
the
it not
words,
for Reese Witherspoon, you would have no ideal concept of that.
Alicia Silverstone.
Isn't it?
Yeah, Alicia Silverstone.
So who did I say?
Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, I mean Alicia Silverstone. That's
But, you
what
know,
I can see it in my mind.
they go up and down in usage, cultural relevancy. But anyways, in this anime, this guy's trying to date this valley girl. But in the show, they keep calling her a gal, Gal. And I was like, what is it? Like, why did and like someone's like, oh, if I talk more like a gal, will you like me? I'm like, what is it? And I think it's a translation thing. Because in Japan, whatever word they use to describe a valley girl is one syllable. And so in order to make the English translation match with the mouth movement, they needed to come up with a similar term that was only one syllable. Right. And so it's like, what do you do in that situation? And to their credit, they came up with something that's like, it doesn't necessarily make sense immediately, but I give props to the translators for like going to all that effort. It's like, okay. Which just goes to show, I think, like how good the quality of dubs have gotten over the years with this show that's like really this kind of nothing show that
why would they call
it
a gal instead of a val? Because that's what a valley girl is a val.
Maybe. That would have been pretty good.
They were known as is vals.
But the fact that they went through that effort, I think, is like, oh, you know, props to translators trying to get, you know, trying to match the mouth to the content. And it's like, okay, that's impressive.
So, fun fact. Girls in California, when Valley Girl came out, Girls in California, actually there was a subgenre of those girls who really did talk like that. I knew one. Suzanne Hatch. Suzanne Hatch talked like that, and when the song came out, it got worse.
Oh.
She actually embraced the whole thing. And we are 600 miles away from the valley, from San Fernando Valley. And she embraced that like 100%. She totally talked like that. I mean, seriously, this is what it sounded like in my high school all the time. Oh my God, it was awful. It was just the worst. Yeah,
I mean, that's the
that's how
thing,
girls
right?
talk.
It was
And
a
now she's a
cultural
school
thing for a
teacher.
while. It went up and down. It went up and down.
Yeah. No, like now it's upspeak. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Upspeaking. Upspeaking is
I'm not sure the
ending
term.
every sentence like slightly higher.
Hmm.
That's the millennial Val uh accent is the upspeak. So like when you're talking and you always sound like you're asking a question, but you're not actually saying a question. That's just the way it goes.
I think it's really
The end
interesting that
upspeak.
the term has changed to no longer like refer to a single group of people, like a valley girl. The
No.
term has changed to define like what it actually kind of is linguistically.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Mm-hmm.
instead of defining it as a person, you're defining what it is.
Well, see now Valley Girl is farther back in the mouth. You can have any accent in the world, but upspeaking is when you raise the end of your sentence so it's everything sounds like a question.
Hmm.
So I could be talking like this,
Okay.
and this is just an upspeak. What? This is how it is? Always. Like you never end this way. It's always upspeak, upspeak, upspeak. You'll see it a lot with the mommy bloggers on YouTube. They
Ooh.
all speak like this. But like Val actually is way in the back of the throat. It has like this sound that goes to the vowels. Totally. So all the vowels are all back in the back of the throat. Yep.
Okay.
So anyway, that's enough of that.
Sorry.
Let's go have.
I'm
Let's go
looking.
talk
I'm
about
looking.
video games.
I'm just looking for another good anime show. I found a list of things, and I'm like, okay, I want to watch all these. And so,
Say the drink to die is bubbly.
no, I've got cat blood.
Okay, good to
Mhm.
know. All right, let's hit the show. Ready to go live?
Yeah.
All right. Davis Andrade says, "Wow, we're anime fans now." LOL. Finally, I was like, we've always been anime fans.
I've just entered like a renewed cycle of anime watchdom. I've always
Mm-hmm.
been a fan, but like it goes in cycles, and right now it's on an upswing.
Yep. Well, we've run out of television shows to watch on
I haven't.
everywhere. I'm running out of them. We're almost at the end of Rick and Morty, so then we're gonna hit Disenchanted.
I started watching the third season because it just came out. That's
Disenchanted, is it good?
yeah. It's a fun, cute, charming show. Like if you
Mhm.
like Futurama, you'll probably like Disenchanted.
Blood Reaper says, "Are you going to share any with Discord?" By the way, we have a Discord server, and AC Wraith will be very kind to provide the Discord server link for me so that I can actually make a banner for that because I
Oh,
keep
that's right.
forgetting to do it.
I did remember too. We also finished watching Rising of the Shield Hero.
Oh, you did finish watching it. Okay, I have
Yeah.
to watch it because
It was okay.
I had way too much to do.
There's a second season incoming, and so that was like, oh shit, the really interesting world building stuff that I wanted to know, you didn't explain because there's a second season coming. Shit.
So Davis Andrade says this show just went from a 10 out of 10 to a solid 15. Good to know.
Good to know. Unfortunately, though, to answer Blood Reaper, I won't be sharing it with Discord because I don't have a Funimation account. The Funimation that I use to watch is on the TV, which is logged in under Caitlin's old account.
Right.
So I can watch that on the TV,
His
but I can't
ex-girlfriend.
actually log in to stream it.
He is siphoning off his ex-girlfriend's animation stream.
She knows.
Oh, she does? Oh, how nice of her.
She does. Yeah. I'm using her Funimation and Amazon, and she can use my Disney Plus and Hulu.
Okay, so it's a fair trade.
Yeah, because otherwise it's like, well, shit. I don't want to pay double.
A Kami Ga Kill is also great, he says.
Okay. I'll have to
And
put
he
that on
also watched Fargo on Hulu. It's sick, twisted, and fun. I watched the first season of Fargo, and yeah, it was actually pretty good. I think the second season we watched it, it was like, yeah.
Second season's a little eh. Third season's a little eh. I've heard the fourth, which came out recently, is pretty good.
Okay. All right. So can we start the show now, please? Nick?
Sure.
Oh my God. I'm going to be doing that all day.
You gonna be ending everything with a question?
Culture and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
All right. Mics are hot. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 579. We are recording this on January 17th, 2021. I'm Edie Sellers, and with me is Nick DiNicola. We do not have an Andrew today, which sucks. How you doing, Nick?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't have an Andrew because Andrew got in a car accident, not of his own fault, but someone hit him on the way home from work last night and didn't wreck his truck, but did enough damage that he needs to take it into the shop today to have someone look
okay.
at it. He's
That's
fine.
the important thing.
Yeah, he's fine. It was a fairly low speed crash, and woman just whacked his bumper, and he's got a truck, so it really kind of messed up the headlights on one side, and but it messed up her car pretty good. But that's one of the nice things about being in a truck. But he wants to have it looked at to make sure that there's no like bent frame or anything. And since tomorrow's a holiday, he's got to kind of do it today. So yeah, by the way, tomorrow is a holiday.
That's funny because I got to take my car and like get a recall inspection before I submit the registration. And when I called the guy to set up an appointment, he said, "Oh, can you come in Monday?"
Really?
I made an appointment.
Okay. That's kind of odd because yeah, tomorrow, I guess some people are still working on that day. So yeah, we are here, Nick DiNicola, Edie Sellers, and we are talking games. What do you got going?
We can keep talking TV. In the chat, bartender asked what streaming services we all use to watch shows.
I have only Netflix and Amazon Prime. And on Amazon Prime, the only channel I actually pay for, so embarrassed, is Masterpiece. The Masterpiece channel. Because I am a sucker for those freaking English costume dramas. I am a total sucker for that shit.
I have a lot. I pay for Netflix, Hulu, and Disney Plus, but then I leech from other people, Funimation, HBO Max, and Amazon Prime.
Oh, it's kind of funny. Kevin, I love my husband, but for Christmas, he got me a Ring doorbell. I bought him an iPhone. He got me a Ring doorbell. For
if you already got both
birthday,
the consoles, what the fuck else is he gonna do?
for my birthday, he splurged and got me an Apple TV box.
Oh, okay.
And then I happened to be one night before I even opened the box, cruising around, and noticed that Apple TV is available on the PlayStation. So you don't need to buy the $180 box to have Apple TV. So Apple TV is on your PlayStation. You don't need to buy the hardware. So, which reminds me, I have to get him to make sure that he refunds that. So I didn't get a Christmas present or birthday present this year. No, I take it back. I got a pair of earrings.
That's good.
When
We
you're
actually-
married, so a certain amount of time, it's like me. Yeah, I got this on my 5th anniversary, and that was the last anniversary present I got.
And how long have you been married?
We've been married 20 years. We will be married 20 years in 2023.
Okay, so at the 5-year mark, that's when it's like, okay, I don't have to do anything.
No. I am an exception to the rule. If you do that after your 5th anniversary and then just never get anything for your anniversary, I can guarantee you 99.999% of women won't put up with that shit.
There won't be a 6th anniversary.
There will not be there'll be a 6th, but there won't be a 7th.
Okay.
Or there might be a 10th, but there won't be an 11th. So yeah, I'm just particularly low maintenance.
We just celebrated my birthday, and I was having dinner with my parents yesterday, and that's one of the things they got me is the new cat tree.
Oh, happy cat. Nothing better on an audio podcast than talking about cats that they can't see.
Yeah, talking about things that you need to see. Yeah. Oh my God, look at that. Oh shit, that was awesome.
My God, look what he's doing. No, he's not doing anything.
He's juggling.
No, he's not juggling. So bartender also wants to know, what do you drive?
Oh, I drive a Kia. Kia Ford.
Nick's old car, holy shit. Your old car, like I got
old car?
You picked me up at the airport, I think it was, or you drove me.
Oh, probably. That was the Nissan.
The Nissan. I mean, I grew up. My first car was a Gran Torino station wagon that had been T-boned, and the whole side had been busted in. And it was bright banana yellow. And that was my first car. And I looked at your car and was like, dude, this car is, and you're like, it's fine. I'm like,
it is fine. Oh, it was fine.
This is not a grown-up car. This is not a grown-up car.
Oh, Nissans are fine. Fuck off. And thank you, AC Wraith and Blood Reaper, and happy birthday, AC Wraith. He said his birthday's on the 2nd.
Oh, happy birthday, kiddo!
I assume that means 2nd of either February or January. Not sure, but either way, happy birthday.
Yeah. So, and then AC Wraith's coming up. Happy birthday. So, Ryan says his was a gold Plymouth Turismo, 1985. Don't you wish you still had that car? I still wish that I had the banana boat. That was the nickname of my car. Everybody should nickname their first car, certainly. That was the banana boat. And I still wish I had the banana boat because that thing was a fucking beast. The guy who T-boned my mom in that station when we were in the station wagon, I was in the back seat, and we got T-boned in the passenger side or the driver's side back seat. I was sitting behind my mom driving in the back seat. I was fine. His car got fucked up. Our car, it was made entirely of steel. It was a steel coffin. It was a tank. I wish I still had that car.
So I like, you know how
his was called Rolled Gold.
Yes. A gold Plymouth Turismo called Rolled Gold is pretty perfect.
Mm-hmm. All right. So yeah, my first car was a banana boat. My second car was a red Audi Fox sports car that I called the Antichrist. That car fucking stranded me. That thing, I've never thought that a car might have a soul. That thing had a soul. That thing hated people, hated humans of any kind, but particularly hated me. It would drive perfectly for weeks And then as soon as I took it on a road trip, it would wait until it was as far away as it possibly could be from any services, and then it would break down. And we just kept bringing it back. And it's like every single time I was like, oh, finally this car is gone. Now my parents will get me another car. It's like, no, they won't. They're going to fix it. It's like, God damn it. It's the Antichrist. It keeps coming back to life. So yeah, that was, to this day, that car. My dad, on his deathbed, he was like, do you remember that car you had, that Audi? That was a terrible car. We were
It
just
just
sitting
leaves
around
that
reminiscing, and it was one of the things that came out of his head. He was deep in dementia. It's like one of the things that came out in dementia. He goes, remember that car you had? That was a terrible car.
That's how much you didn't realize at the time. That's how much he hated that car. It traumatized him. He's like, man, fuck that car.
Right. Because he has spent more time driving out to pick me up because the car had broken down somewhere. He was the one. He was my AAA. So, all right. Anyway, let's AC Wraith, really? You actually gave the link for the Ford Torino station wagon from Car and Driver. Bless your heart. You are so good. All right. So let's talk about games instead of reminiscing about the good old days. What have you been playing?
Well, I will say one of the first things I did when I got the Xbox back is I downloaded all the games that I had previously installed it, and I booted up Battlefield 5 just to play some.
Right.
And so I'm playing to it. I'm talking to a friend on Skype, and he's like, "Hey, I've got a cool video to show you." So I'm like, "Okay, show me." So playing Battlefield, I run into a corner, crouch down, and just hide, and I'm watching the video, and it's fun, haha. Then all of a sudden, the screen goes black, and I'm like, "Oh fuck!
No!
Did it again! No!" Then a second later, I notice in the bottom right of the screen a little symbol spinning, and I was like, "What?" And then it brought me back to the main menu and said, "You've been booted for inactivity."
Right.
And I was like, "Fuck you, Battlefield! You give me a heart attack." So
you got PTSD. You're traumatized by that.
yes. So thankfully, after that, I just played a bunch of Xbox games on Game Pass, and they all worked. So the Xbox seems to be working perfectly. Even like some network issues that I had before, where with the previous one, when I booted it up, it wouldn't connect to my wireless. I had to manually connect it all the time. This one does it automatically all the time. So way better. As for actual games, last week I said I would try a game called Code Vein, which was an anime Souls-like game, which kind of fit my current mood. Unfortunately, it's not very good. The way you level up is really confusing because it's an RPG where you don't actually put points into stats. So every time you level up, you don't increase strength or dexterity or anything like that. You just kind of automatically get more HP and things like that. And I guess all those other strengths, and I'm kind of confused at how the system works, but I believe all those other stats are based on the armor you're wearing. So that this armor may increase your strength and increase your dexterity. And then when you get a weapon that's associated with one of those stats, it then gets a boost from the armor you're wearing. So weapon is very much tied to armor in terms of increasing its stats and stuff. That's kind of cool, but at the same time, it means I can't switch between weapons in the middle of a battle. Like if I'm using a light sword and I want to switch to a heavy sword to do more damage, because I'm not wearing the right armor, all of a sudden the great sword suddenly becomes way less effective. And so it feels like I get locked into one specific build. Instead of being able to build out the character as I see fit, I kind of lock myself into using this one type of weapon over and over again. And it also sucks because all these stats are tied to your armor, but you only have one armor slot. You only ever have one piece of armor. And so it's not like I can use a helmet and gloves and feet and pants and chest and do all this stuff to kind of, create a complex build that embraces various stats. No, you have one piece of armor. And so it's like, hey, do you want good strength? Do you want good dexterity? Do you want good magic? You can only choose one. And it just feels really limiting.
Mhm.
And then what also really sucks is the combat just doesn't feel that good. It feels kind of laggy. One of the worst things in any game is when you hit the dodge button and you don't immediately dodge. It always
I
feels
hate
like
that.
just a half-second delay that really messes you up.
I have to say, I kind of had that same problem with Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I still am struggling with the dodge. That it just, I wish it was a little bit more predictive because, if you dodge without giving it a direction, you don't really dodge.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to give it the direction. I wish it had a little bit more AI involved in the dodging so that it would, like, if you hit the dodge button and you didn't quite get the direction down, that it would be like either give it to you or that it would pick the correct place to dodge to.
I mean, that game kind of had a weird system where usually when you dodge, it's like, I'm going to roll out of the way. But in
Mhm.
Tsushima, if you hit it once, he kind of steps out of the way.
Right.
And that's good when someone does like a tiny little slash because you step out of the way and you can easily counterattack. But in order to get the roll, you have to tap X twice.
Right.
And so you like have two levels of dodge that just
Yeah, and
kinda,
I don't even have the rolling dodge yet, which makes it even more complicated because then you don't you
oh
don't
shit.
start out with the roll.
I didn't know that. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah. Well, either that or something's wrong with me mind because I always have to dodge twice because if somebody's coming at you with a big hit or, frequently they will do 2 or 3 hits on you in a row that are all unblockable. So you have to dodge, dodge, dodge.
Yeah.
So I'm just getting to the point where I just triple dodge everything because it's still the step back because if I hit double tap, it just goes back twice.
Hmm.
So,
But yeah, that's still a better game than Code Vein.
yeah. Oh, it's still a good game. I mean, I freaking love that game. So yeah, I have been playing Ghost of Tsushima. It's good. I've talked, it's been talked to death. I don't need to talk about it anymore. The Ghost of Tsushima Legends is good. It's actually a hell of a lot of fun, especially with friends that you want to play
Mhm.
with. My only downside on it is that because I'm not playing it all the time, that the people I like to play with are starting to get bored with it.
Well,
And
I want to get back into it. I haven't played it for a week, so we can catch up with people together.
but yeah, the Legend is one of the best multiplayer add-ons to a single player game I've ever played. And the game itself, I'm very much enjoying just roaming around. I'm not really pursuing the main story probably like I should because I'm just having a really good time just going in a general direction of where I want to go and running, not taking my horse. And then just being distracted by the little golden bird that comes down and says, "Hey,
Yeah,
there's something over here you want to look at." I'm like, "Oh, pretty bird." And go chasing it.
I like that bird.
Yeah.
Except when the bird suddenly like flies off a cliff, and then you're like, "Well, fuck, bird, I can't follow you there."
Right. There is that. But having a good time with that.
Cool.
And I also played, oh, you played something else, right? You played Call of the Sea.
Yeah. So after I deleted Code Vein, I picked up Call of the Sea.
You actually deleted it flat out, huh?
Yes. I mean, it was Game Pass, so I didn't spend money for it. So after I thought, I'm not enjoying this, I didn't feel any obligation to put any extra time into it.
Oh, Call of the Sea. Now I know what it is. I almost picked it up on Game Pass.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Was it interesting? It looked to me like it was a missed game for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, it's basically an adventure game.
Mhm.
So think it's not a walking simulator, but think something like Edith Finch, but with more puzzles. And that's what Call of the
Like
Sea is.
this.
Yeah, like a lot like Myst, because this woman goes to this mysterious island searching for her husband, because her husband had previously gone around the world trying to find a cure for her mysterious illness. And after a while, he stopped sending her letters. So she kind of followed the letters and tracked him down to this island. And so you spend a lot of time following in his footsteps, finding letters, finding old campsites, and reading about the progress of his expedition as he tries to get to the center of this island. And you solve puzzles to follow in his footsteps. It's a neat story. I like the world and the environment and all of that. I feel like the puzzles are a little on the too confusing side. I've gotten in the habit of basically playing the game with a walkthrough open next to me, because a lot of the puzzles feel like they give you 98% of the information that you need to really solve it.
Mhm.
Well, like one of the first things you come across is this bridge, and you need to find some way to lower the bridge. And there's a mechanism next to it that has a vertical thing of symbols. And it's like, okay, I I got to do something with this machine, this mechanism. If you explore the island, you find those similar symbols, and they associate with different things. Like, oh, this symbol is a fish, this symbol is a mountain, this symbol is light, all that stuff. And it's like, okay, I've got some symbols, I've got a mechanism. Now I've got to figure out how to put them in order. There's nothing in the game, at least that I found, that really explained what order you should put them in. Uh, Ultimately, it feels like you were just supposed to intuit the order based on, like, because it's vertical. And I don't know if I I feel like the game, if it didn't give me any hint about how to put them in order, like, that feels really bad, because I never would have intuited the order based on nothing. Like, there is a logic to it, but I never would have guessed that specific logic with no prompt, with no hint towards that direction.
Mhm.
Um, some of the puzzles are better. Some of the puzzles feel confusing, but then if you go and you search the island more, you find enough hints and you're like, okay, I can put these together. But it feels like a solid 50-50 split between puzzles that I solve just by exploring, and then puzzles that I hit a wall at and I look up the solution and I think, I never would have figured that out. I never would have connected A to B in that way. Or I never would have connected A to C in that way, because it feels like it left out B.
Mhm.
But
Right.
but because it's not a difficult game, and so because I have the walkthrough open, it's very easy to just kind of get past those humps and continue on with the story, which is, like, I think the real draw.
Mhm. Yeah. So, yeah, I saw this on Game Pass because I was looking for something on Game Pass. I was just kind of in the mood for something. And uh it mostly came because I discovered a new YouTube channel that I'm now. It is yet again another game playing uh show that is where the person essentially breaks games. That's his whole raison d'etre. And he breaks them in. Yeah, Gray still plays is good, is great. But this guy is so much, I don't want to say better, but he breaks things in truly cataclysmic ways. I'm trying, there we go. Come on. There we go. It's something called Let's Game This Out. or sorry, let's game it out. And he breaks things in really like just over the top ways. And I have and he really likes Sims. Case in point. To the point of where if he doesn't get down to two frames per second, he's not doing his job. And so watching him kind of got me in the mood to play some Sims, and that's what I have done. And in the process of playing Sims, I decided to play, hit the Game Pass, which is where I saw Call of the Sea. But I was like, kind of in the mood for a sim. I was really hoping that there with Tropico was in, because I think I was watching the one for Tropico, and that was the one that was like, oh man, I really Tropico 6. It's been a long time since I played that game. I really like it. I'm in the mood for it. Couldn't find it. It's not on Game Pass, unfortunately. But what was on Game Pass was City Skyline for the Xbox One, but it's been upscaled for Xbox Series X. And it's like, I have not played City Skyline I played it on Xbox One. It struggled on Xbox One. It felt a bit limited. And when your city got big enough, it really started to not bog, but you could tell it was right at the edge of where it needed to be for a good game experience. So I picked up on Game Pass City Skyline, and 10 hours later, I was like, oh, it's 4:00 in the morning. I should probably go to bed. It works very nicely on Xbox Series X. It actually looks much better and plays much better than I remember it on Xbox One. It's a known quantity, which is a nice thing to have. You know exactly what you're getting yourself into. It's SimCity Plus. And it's full of all of the annoying things that made it annoying. Like you start off with some roads that are hard to work with because that's how that they built it, and you're supposed to kind of work your way around it. But inevitably, you try to make a grid pattern, and it's all going to get fucked up because the roads are hard to control. And no, not hard, but they're persnickety on how they want to be laid down in a certain way, and you don't have a lot of control over that sometimes. But they have all of the add-on packs. I guess I purchased some add-on packs, and it's giving me credit for those add-on packs that I had when it was a Series Xbox One game, and I purchased it. So it's giving me the credit for that. And on top of that, there's some packs that are free right now. And it's definitely more fleshed out in a lot of like these cool little ways than it was when I played it a long time ago. And now has a radio station, and you can actually download packs that are radio packs that add more radio stations. One of the stations, actually, when you tried to change the channel, if the first time you go to it, I think it's called Cities Gold. And they're like, if you're streaming while you're playing this game, you don't want to be playing this channel because it's got licensed music in it.
Oh.
So they give you a heads up, like, hey, streamers, don't play this channel if you're going to be streaming it.
It's good that they put that in there, that they put that notice in there.
Right.
God, is that what games are going now? Where we're gonna have like dedicated streamer-friendly radio stations?
It makes sense why they would, because they've licensed it, but you haven't. So their license doesn't extend to you for that music.
Fucking music.
So yeah, but it's a very deep sim game. I really wish that, in fact, I haven't looked, but I would like to try Kerbal on the Xbox One. I mean, sorry, Xbox Series X, because on the
Yeah, isn't
Xbox
it?
One, it really wasn't very playable.
That's on Game Pass, isn't it?
Is it?
I feel it might be. 'Cause
Yeah. When I was playing City Skyline, I'm like, maybe I should revisit Kerbal because it was really challenging. Not only because graphically, it does not really translate well to a television screen, because it just didn't have the ability to render out the details as well as it could, and it struggled. It like I said, you could tell it was definitely hitting its max headroom for what it could do. But I would like to actually try Kerbal again. But Kerbal, you practically have to have a PhD to play
Yeah.
that game. You really do.
It's funny you say that because I just started watching this old Giant Bomb series of videos on Kerbal, where they decided they're going to do a series of videos of them building a ship with the intention of going to the moon and back.
Mhm.
And it's a fun series. There's like 13 episodes or so in it. But I just watched the first one. It was funny seeing them try to build, shoot it up, watch it crash, and all that. Yeah, and like completely divorced from you, I was like, oh man, Kerbal's cool. I should try to play Kerbal.
Be prepared to do a lot of reading. I mean, it's and I'm not joking. You pretty much need a degree in order to just start with that game.
That's cool.
But yeah, City Skyline, it works fine. It is a time sink extraordinaire, and I love it. That's why I love it. But I really do want to play Tropico. Maybe it's the whole there was, insurgency and, sedition and the attempted coup in Washington, but I'm really in the mood for Tropico. I'm really in the mood to be a dictator.
On PlayStation, wasn't it like one of the free PS Plus games 1 month?
Tropico 6?
It might have been
I don't
Tropico
think so.
5.
Tropico 5.
One of the games, maybe. Because
Tropico 6 is out. I want to play Tropico. So if
Okay.
I'm going to play Tropico, I want to play the new one.
Because I
just don't want
feel
to
like at some point in the past several years, I downloaded a version of Tropico, but never played it. And I can only assume that was why.
Yeah. It is it's definitely way more huge than it was before. I mean, I probably think I played Tropico 3 was the last time I played it. So it's been a lot of years. But it is I just maybe it's just because I'm a political wonk, but I just love Tropico. I really do. But and
Actually, on sale for about half off.
On where?
PlayStation.
Oh, I never actually thought about going to the PlayStation for it. I guess I could. Yeah, I just looked on Xbox. So I was hoping to get it on the Xbox Games Pass.
Yeah,
but it's just much bigger, much more things to do. I mean, I played all the way through the Tropico 3. It was not bad. It was just sort of limited. But now it's I mean, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna be a dictator, you want all the dick.
You want to be.
You don't want to half dick it.
No, you always want a full dick dictator.
Oh yeah, you want to be full dick dictator. Absolutely. Congratulations, Corey. Chiefs win. People are playing football now?
Yeah, people have been playing sports for the past,
They haven't played. Right. It's kind of funny that the sports section of my newspaper has become even more irrelevant.
I feel like no one's going to let pandemic and disease get in the way of a sports game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. AC Ray says the Kerbal Space Program flag was some of the best swag at PAX Box, and I've still yet to play it. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, getting you that box. That was an epic quest line. with the boss being the line at the post office. It was a long day. So any other games we want to talk about?
No, that's
all I got. That is all I have. All right. So then we have a lot of news to talk about. So let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with gamer Edie and Nick DiNicola. And our first item is...
speaking of the post office, where is it? I have a bunch of tabs. Okay. A post office supervisor in Middleton, Connecticut, I guess, was sentenced to 9 months of home confinement and a $20,000 fine after they were caught stealing a bunch of tech items. That includes iPhones, but also PlayStation and Nintendos.
Yep.
So I guess this
and had been doing it for a really long time, like for like almost a year.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X's. It was Nintendo Switches. It was iPhones. It was everything. iPads.
Yeah. It was, I guess, between the months of February and April 2020.
Yeah. So he didn't get any PlayStation 5s because that's right.
No 5s, but 4s.
But 4s, yep. And all the other tech stuff. Yeah.
4s, Switches, iPhones.
No hell hot enough for that person.
Yep. God, that would be very frustrating to ship something and then have it just disappear.
Yep. Never got it. And try to explain to Apple that you never got it.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, sure. Yep, there's the link for it. Postal supervisor. It's postal supervisor in Middletown admits to stealing packages. All right. So my first item is, do we want to hit the big news of the week, like the long topic first? Because it kind of is the above the fold on this one.
Now let's put it off.
Nope, we're hitting it.
Who wants to hear about that? Oh, is that okay? That's what you said is the big news. I thought the big news was something different.
No, I think this is the big news. All right. Well, we can compete this out. We can duel this out. So, it was the last 3 or 4 days have been very interesting. So first, on the 13th, the CD Projekt SA's Chief Executive Officer, Marcin Ilowinski, I've actually figured out how to say the name now. He issued a video apology where he essentially had a mea culpa, a complete mea culpa on what happened with the game. And do you want to play it? Because you've never seen it, right?
Hang on. In the chat, AC Wraith was like, wait, is there another person that stole? Because I guess something about the dates didn't line up. But I think, no, the link that AC Wraith linked to is the same guy that we were talking about. So There haven't been 2 cases of postal supervisor stealing shit. Just one. I just have to make sure.
I think that the postal person, because I saw that news come up too. I think that came up because that person was actually, he was arrested back in October and he was sentenced this week to, what was the sentence on that?
It was like 9 months of home confinement and $20,000. So
that's
not a lot for stealing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but rightfully so. So let me get rid of this.
So, yeah, this is the CD
Projekt Red. Do you want to watch it? Because we can watch it together.
Do we want to watch the whole thing? Isn't it like 5 minutes?
It is, but we can fast forward.
Okay. Yeah, I have not read. I read the highlights, but I didn't actually watch him.
All right. So let's see. Here it is.
Hey everyone, my name
looks
is
like blonde.
Co-founder of CD Projekt.
Can you hear
it? When I started CD Projekt 25
You can hear it?
I can.
Okay.
years ago, One of its founding principles was honest and direct communication with gamers. When CD Projekt Red, the game development part of CD Projekt, was born, it added something important to that principle, the ambition to make the best games in the world. It became our mission and something that guided us up until now. Based on that legacy of genuine and honest communication, you've trusted us and pre-ordered our game. And despite good reviews on PC, the console version of Cyberpunk 2077 did not meet the quality standard we wanted it to meet.
You think?
I and the entire leadership team are deeply sorry for this, and this video is me publicly owning up to that. Please don't fault any of our teams for what happened. They all are incredibly talented and hardworking. Myself and the board are the final decision makers, and it was our call to release the game.
So I gotta say, when I was watching this, at that point, I was like, good for you. That is probably one of the best apologies I have ever heard from a game development company. It doesn't get any more mea culpa than that when he said, I'm owning up to this. This was us. This was not the developers. This is not anybody else. This was us. We fucked up. And good for him with that.
Although, believe me, we never ever intended for anything like this to happen. I assure you that we'll do our best to regain your trust. Now I'd like to tell you how the situation looked like from the inside. Cyberpunk 2077 is huge in scope. And I'm not only talking about quests or things you see at first glance. I'm talking about a multitude of custom objects, interacting systems, and mechanics. In the game, everything is not stretched out over flat terrain where we can make things less taxing hardware-wise, but condensed in one big city and in a relatively loading-free environment. On its own, this is a challenge, but we made it even more difficult for ourselves by wanting to make the game look epic on PCs and then adjusting it to consoles, especially old gens.
So that is an interesting revelation that I had no idea, that they figured that they would build it for PCs and then adjust that code for consoles.
And then scale back.
And scale it back. And that sounds like, that does not sound like they were, I can't imagine that being a way to provide an optimal experience on consoles.
Yeah, because by definition, it just would be worse. Like you're comparing it to something and then going, oh, this is not as good.
Right. That was I don't know enough about game development to be able to suggest that maybe it should have been the other way around, of build it for consoles and then make it better for PC.
I feel like I know enough about game development to say when you have a range of specs, it's probably better to build it based on the lowest specs.
Right.
That way, you know you have the same content going up the line. You just make everything look better and run better. But like building for the top and then scaling down would necessitate, and I think you see it here, not just like worse graphics, but the removal of some features.
Right.
Like we saw this, it actually just reminded me about Shadow of Mordor, where when that game came out, it came out at the edge of the, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3 console generation. On PlayStation 4, it had the Nemesis system, which was like its big selling point of, hey, these orcs kill you and they remember you. But on PlayStation 3, it didn't have that.
Right.
It didn't have its main selling feature.
Exactly.
And that feels like that's what Cyberpunk was, just writ larger.
Yeah. So anyway, continuing on.
That was our core assumption. And things did not look super difficult at first. We knew the hardware gap, yes.
I don't know how it didn't look difficult.
I think that time has...
I don't know how that didn't look difficult.
You just don't look at it too hard.
Apparently.
Which actually, based on the Jason Schreier article that came out, was literally their mentality of, now we'll figure it out. Well, don't worry about it. We can do it.
Right. Remember, we are at the first step of all the things that happened this week.
Proven that we've underestimated the task.
You
To give
think?
a concrete example and the main culprit, we had to constantly improve our in-game streaming system for all gen consoles. Streaming is responsible for feeding the engine with what you see on screen, as well as the game mechanics. And since the city is so packed and the disk bandwidth of all gens is what it is, it constantly challenged us. Every change and improvement needed to be tested, and as it turned out, our testing did not show a big part of the issues you experienced while playing the game. As we got closer to the
What did
final
you
release,
test?
it was significant.
What?
What did they test? That would mean like you only test PC, which is like, well, I feel like it's kind of throwing QA under the bus.
Yeah, a little bit.
Significant improvements each and every day, and we really believed we would deliver in the final day zero update. Now let's talk about the review process. We started sending our PC
Oh, hold on a
review
second. I just missed a spot.
improvements each and every day, and we really did not show a big part of the issues you experienced while playing the game. Constantly challenged
Here's
us.
something I've taken.
Every change and
section.
improvement needed to be tested, and as it turned out, our testing did not show a big part of the issues you experienced while playing the game.
See, all right, yes. Now I want you to mark that phrase. We tested on PC and we didn't see any indication that there would be any problems at that point.
Mm.
Remember that because we will talk about Jason Schreier's article.
As we got closer to the final release, we saw significant improvements each and every day, and we really believed we would deliver in the final day zero update. Now let's talk about the review process. We started sending our PC review keys in the first days of December. On launch day, December 10th, we hit the ground running with a really good start on PC. While not perfect, it's a version of Cyberpunk we are very proud of. At the same time, we're fighting for quality on all gen consoles till the very last moment.
So here's something that he glosses over and does not discuss is that they sent out those PC codes on the 10th with a week in advance and then instructed the reviewers that they could not use their own in-game footage. So that it was a bad enough experience that they specifically told reviewers you could not use anything but their own footage that they were providing you if you were going to show footage of the game. That means that, yes, they did know that it was bad and they didn't want those reviewers to talk about it or be able to show it.
And every extra day of us working on the day zero update brought visible improvement. This is why we started sending in December, which was later than we originally planned. This all happened while working from home with all the challenges resulting from the COVID-related restrictions. A lot of the dynamics we normally take for granted got lost over video calls or email, and we took that hit too. Now I'd like to tell you about our plans for the future and present a path for Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles and PC. We have already released 3 hotfixes improving the game, but that's just the beginning. Our ultimate goal is to fix the bugs and crashes gamers are experiencing across platforms. Please expect bigger and smaller patches on a regular basis. The first update will be dropping within 10 days, and it will be followed by another, more significant one in the following weeks. We will, of course, continue to work on the game in future updates and improvements beyond that. Our big plans for supporting Cyberpunk in the long term did not change. As for the free DLCs, our initial plan was to deliver them just after the release, much like we did with The Witcher 3. We decided to focus on the most important fixes and updates first, and we'll be releasing the DLCs afterwards.
All right, so let's look at this roadmap that they've got. So they outline there's the hotfix for 0.04, 0.05, and 0.06. Those are already out. They say that next patch 1.1, is going to happen in the next 10 days. So that's that second line. And then it looks like shortly afterwards, the patch 1.2. So it looks like the free DLCs, I mean, if you look at between 2021 and 2022, it's looking like they've broken that down into thirds. So the first third of the year, so we're looking at spring for the free DLCs and September or later for the next gen console update. That's
Yeah,
significantly
and-
later than when they said that they were going to be doing that. They've pushed it all back.
Oh yeah, and based on that little like, they have a section of the graph that's just like multiple updates and improvements with a bunch of like lines that kind of looks like a vague. It's a vague amount of time.
Underwear dwarfs, question mark, and then 2022 is profit.
Yeah, I would assume that anything within that section is like, we don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
free DLC could be coming out like next month based on this chart, or it could be coming out in December. I would fully expect either one of those based on this chart. Like, it's the position of the line within this timeline, I feel like doesn't really mean much.
No. And I'm not going to lie, CD Projekt Red has been kind of notorious through all of this of saying stuff that isn't necessarily true. We will talk about that in a moment when we talk about Jason Schreier's article.
Expect more information in the upcoming months. For those of you playing on next-gen consoles in back compatibility, you can still expect the free next-gen update for Xbox Series consoles and PlayStation 5 arriving in 2021. We are aiming at the second half of the year. I'd like to end this video by assuring you that
they say second half of the year. That graph says third of the year, and we're talking about winter at the very earliest, probably.
we treat this entire situation very seriously and are working hard to make it right. The guiding principles of our company are still core to what we do. We still want to make amazing games and have an open communication with you, our players. For now, our immediate focus is to work hard on making sure you enjoy Cyberpunk 2077 regardless of platform. Beyond Cyberpunk, we have many plans for the future, which we'll share more about when we're ready. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.
So first of all, I just have to say, I think they should really stick to fantasy, because that dude totally looks like an extra from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, okay, I can see it.
I would 100% believe him in leather armor and a sword on his back.
All right, so now that we have hit that came out on the 13th, I believe. Let me take a look. Yes, January 13th. So he released that video statement on the 13th. On the 15th, Jason Schreier issued, Bloomberg printed a story, posted, I should say, a story that is titled Inside Cyberpunk 2077's Disastrous Rollout. And this article calls into question a lot of his, let's take a look at it from the inside. Here's what we experienced in this development from our point of view. And it brings very
15th.
much.
Did you say
sorry?
16th?
What?
AC Wraith said 16th?
AC Wraith. No, it's the 15th. If you look right here, there it is, the 15th right here.
Oh, he said 16th on my end.
Yeah, it might be. It was 9 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
Pacific time. So yeah, it was midnight on the 16th if you were on the East Coast. So yeah, I guess it was the 16th because he is on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, just a handful of hours later, this article is printed, and it is in that Jason Schreier way, what we have come to know and love. He interviewed, according to his article, more than 20 former and current CD Projekt staff about this article. Many of them requested to be anonymous because they were afraid of their careers. But he said, quote, "It depicts a development process marred by unchecked ambition, poor planning, and technical shortcomings." So here are the things that he brings up in this article. First, CD Projekt Red didn't have a plan. They just figured that it would work itself out. Very much like you talked about with the, we'll do it for PC and we'll just backwards adjust it so that we can play it on consoles, and we'll figure it out. Question mark, profit.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
I think at one point in the article he mentioned that like they were building the engine at the same time they were building the game, and someone compared it to trying to build train tracks while the train is running.
Right.
And
right.
how that kind of
Trying to run a train while the train tracks are being built in front of the train. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Adrian Jubiak, this is a line from the article. Adrian Jubiak, a former audio programmer for CD Projekt Red, said one of his colleagues asked during a meeting how the company thought it would be able to pull off a technically more challenging project in the same time frame as The Witcher. Someone answered, "We'll figure it out along the way." Another problem that was outlined in this article was that the team focused on Witcher 3 when the game was announced. It was working on Witcher 3 and the DLC for Witcher 3 when this game was announced back in 2012. And they didn't actually start production on this until late 2016.
Yeah.
They did, they scrapped everything they'd already done and started over.
Yeah, if there was mention of that, like it's not unusual for there to be multiple teams within a studio, and like, hey, one part of the team is going to be working on the DLC, and another part of the team is going to be like in pre-production on Cyberpunk. That makes sense. Like that's a typical way to break up work in a game developer. But you don't usually see that last for 4 years.
Right.
That time frame is usually a lot condensed. And yeah, at one point in the article, it mentioned that when it did go into full production, I think someone else came on to be like the lead game designer, and they asked that a lot of things change. Everything from like the game perspective to story elements change. And so a lot of that pre-production work kind of ended up being for nothing.
Right. So the line said this line out of Jason Schreier's article: part of the fans' disappointment is proportional to the amount of time they spent waiting for the game. Although Cyberpunk was announced in 2012, the company was still mainly focused on its last title, and full development didn't start until late 2016, employees said. That was when CD Projekt essentially hit the reset button, according to people familiar with the project. I think one of the more damning revelations was the fact that according to Jason Schreier, the E3 reveal of the game was faked. That 48 minutes trailer that we saw at E3 that just took the hype to new levels was faked. According to the article, much of CD Projekt's focus, according to several people who worked on CD Projekt on Cyberpunk 2077, was impressing the outside world. A slice of gameplay was showcased at E3, the industry's main trade event, in 2018. It showed the main character embarking on a mission, giving players a grand tour of the seedy, night-ridden city. Fans and journalists were wowed by Cyberpunk's 2077 ambition and scale. What they didn't know is that the demo was almost entirely fake. CD Projekt hadn't yet finished and coded the underlying gameplay systems, which is why so many features, such as car ambushes, were missing from the final product. Developers said they felt like the demo was a waste of time, and that should have gone toward making the game.
Yeah, so AC Wraith in the chat brings up a good point that a lot of trailers like that are fake. Like famously, the first reveal of BioShock Infinite was like all fake.
Right.
What makes this more of like a strange circumstance is that this faked trailer came after 8 years of development, or 8 years since they announced it. They announced it in 2012. They put this trailer out in 2018. After 6 years. After 6 years, you would assume that they have some sort of underlying games play systems in place. And the
Right.
fact that they
Not only
didn't,
that, 6 years, but also less than a year from when they said that the release date would be, because that was in June of 2018,
yeah,
and they had a
the original release date.
original release date in 2019.
Yeah, so to be that close to release and then to release a trailer that,
Would
like,
lead you to believe that it was much farther along in its development.
a trailer that
And
is
on top of
basically
that,
a demo reel. Like
right,
this is a pitch reel. That's what it is. Like
pitch
with
reel.
BioShock when it made sense. There was like, yes, it unfortunately like it's all a lie, but it's like this is what our goal is. This is what we want the game to feel like. To have a pitch reel has your trailer after 6 years of development and 1 year from release is like, ooh, that it's not. It suggests a lot of bad things behind the scenes.
It suggests not only a lot of bad things from behind the scenes, but it also suggests that they were hiding it, that they were kind of not willing to admit that they were that far behind in their development because they would just figure it out. So the next assertion out of this article was remember the claims of no crunch? They were not going to have any crunch. And they absolutely had crunch. Even as CD Projekt Red was making these assertions, they were crunching. One of the people interviewed said there would be times I would crunch up to 13 hours a day, a little bit over. That was my record probably, and I would do 5 days a week working like that. This guy is a former audio programmer, adding that he quit the company after getting married. Quote, I have some friends who lost their families because of these sort of shenanigans. So even as they were saying that they weren't going to crunch on this game, they were already crunching these people. Yeah. And it was brutal. It wasn't just, they said no crunch and then, well, maybe we'll have a couple of weeks of crunch. It wasn't just a couple of weeks. It was months of crunching. The next thing that Schreier asserts was that CD Projekt Red knew or should have known about the problems. And this is where that video comes up, the apologies of like, we had no idea. It became evident as we got close to release that there were a lot of problems. We didn't anticipate these problems, but there they were. We did our best to try and fix them. So in here, and I'm not sure if I can find it. It says in the article, quote, their goal was to release Cyberpunk 2077 before new consoles from Microsoft and Sony. Expected in the fall of 2020 were even announced. That way, the company could launch the game on existing PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and PC, and then double dip by releasing versions down the road for the next generation consoles. People who bought the old console version would receive free upgrades when the new ones were available. Some engineers realized that Cyberpunk was too complex of a game to run well on the 7-year-old consoles, with its city full of bustling crowds and hulking buildings. They said management dismissed their concerns, however, citing their success in pulling off Witcher 3.
Yeah,
the
that
more
feels
I
like
read into that
biggest
article, the
thing.
more I realized that Witcher 3 in many ways was the doom of Cyberpunk 2077 because it was so successful and they just kind of managed to pull it out of their ass that they figured they could pull it out of their ass again. They kept on saying, well, we did it last time. We did it last time.
Well, it's especially damning, I think, that line, that point, because the idea to release on older consoles comes from purely this business point of view, without any concern for whether or not it's actually feasible. It's this desire of let's launch on the old consoles so that we can then double dip and get people to. So I don't even understand that because like
they're not making any extra money.
Releasing a free update, you're not double dipping
dip on the hype. They're double dipping on the hype.
Yeah. But like that's a business decision made completely divorced from reality.
Right. And here's something else, is that going by this assertion that Schreier makes in the article, it means that they were looking for a release on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, and were thinking later of the next gen update, which means that right now the only playable console version is on the next gen consoles. The original gen consoles, the previous gen consoles, cannot play this game.
Yeah, that's just because
So
it's
how is it
hardware.
that you missed the mark on something that you were literally shooting at? It wasn't like, oh, we made it for the next gen consoles and it didn't work as well as we expected on the past gen consoles. It's the other way around. They were actually shooting for the old gen consoles. It's just happy happenstance that it actually runs on the current gen consoles.
Yeah, and that's the thing that people have talked about since it came out, is all this talk of, oh, we didn't realize it, when the bugs for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are so significant that to be caught off guard, it would require them to be willfully ignorant,
Right.
in a way that doesn't speak well of their leadership, their understanding of the whole point and scope of the game versus hardware. Just a divorce from reality so large between management and developers that, like, it calls into question whether management should even be management.
Mhm.
Like, the best case scenario is that they knew and they just lied to all consumers. The worst case scenario is that they're really that completely ignorant of how
Inept.
their own
They
business
were-
functions.
right. Bottom line, this article comes off making them look either dishonest or inept.
Yeah.
Neither one of them is a good look.
Yeah, like, it's best case scenario, they're all fucking liars.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know which is the better scenario. Are you stupid or are you lying?
My opinion, lying is better. If only because
I think they were, I don't know. If
neither is good.
better.
Neither is good.
No,
Like,
neither
let's
looks
just be
good.
really clear.
Right. And I honestly think that they were just inept. I think that they just kept looking back at Witcher 2 and saying, or Witcher 3 and saying, hey, we did it on Witcher 3. Somehow we made it work without ever actually looking back and go, how did we make it work and how is this different? They just figured that they could walk on water. There's this kind of sense of entitlement, like we're CD Projekt Red, we make miracles happen. It's like, no, there's no such thing as a miracle. It happens with hard work. You have to have a plan. Otherwise, you're just fucking lucky. It just makes you realize how lucky they were in that all of this faith that we had in The Witcher 3 being so good because CD Projekt Red is so good was really misplaced. They were just really fucking lucky with The Witcher 3 and they couldn't duplicate it, but they didn't know. They as my mother would say, they were born on third and thought they hit a triple.
It reminds me of a story I had read previously. I think it might have been Jason Schreier article about Anthem or something. I don't know who that is.
I have no idea either. Daniel LaRusso. Don't know.
Look it up.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
While I talk. It reminds me of something I'd heard about BioWare, how Dragon Age Inquisition, before they made Dragon Age Inquisition, EA switched their structure so that everyone had to make games on the Frostbite engine. That was good for shooters like Battlefield, bad for expansive RPGs that BioWare made. But they made Dragon Age Inquisition, which turned out to be a really good game that was really well received. That ended up fucking them over in the long run, because that means that when they made Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem, they had this expectation of like, oh no, we did Inquisition. We made it work then. We can make it work now. And turns out it didn't. And in both of those subsequent cases, the engine really, really helped screw that game development process over.
Yep. Karate Kid. That's who
What?
Daniel LaRusso is. Ralph Macchio. Yep.
That's what it looks like. No, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying
Wax on, wax off.
I'm saying that dude looks way better than me. Let's be honest. Look at that face.
All right.
That's a teen heartthrob face right there.
Yeah, well, we was a teen heartthrob
Yeah.
for about a minute. Let's see what else. Oh, did I lose? I closed my screen. Damn it. All right. So yeah. So
Oh, he says the older Cobra Kai version.
older Cobra Kai. Yeah, maybe. You look like an aging heartthrob.
I mean, honestly, I'll take that.
So then, of course, that couldn't stand. Immediately afterwards, well, I should say not immediately, Adam Badowski that same day, after Jason Schreier released his article, the studio head of CD Projekt Red responded with a tweet bringing up some points that Jason Schreier had asserted in his article and countering them. For example, he said, it's hard for a trade show game demo to not be a test version or a vertical slice 2 years before the game ships, but that doesn't mean it's fake. Compare the demo with the game. Look at the dum-dum scene or the car chase or the many other things. What the people reading your article may not know is that the games are not made in a linear fashion and start looking like the final product only a few months before launch. If you look at that demo now, it's different, yes, but that's what the work in project progress watermark is for. Our final game looks and plays way better than the demo ever was. I would say no. I think we have a very different definition of better. Certainly, if you were talking about the console version. But work in progress suggests that 48 minutes video was part of their work. That they weren't actually working on that. That wasn't part of their work. That was a artist's concept of what it might look like. And granted, he's saying 2 years before the game ships. That wasn't 2 years before the game was supposed to ship. When that 48 minutes video came out, it was less than a year from the release date, the first release date.
Yeah. Also, I feel like, and this is something that gets into a murky area of like implication and expectation, where 48 minutes implies like a much greater degree of finished product. Like if you just put out a 2-minute trailer that was like that, that's like, okay, this is just a trailer. This is fake. Like we meet that with more suspicion. But 48 minutes to the viewer, I think, to gamers, to people watching that, implies this is a mission that we played and we captured. Like there's a greater degree of not authority, of like it has a greater degree of professionalism. Verisimilitude. Yeah, it feels more real. And also it suggests that like if you put in all that work to like create a fake trailer that was 48 minutes, that's a lot of fucking work.
Right. So yeah, that is a long version of exactly what happened and this week. And while I think that Marchin's apology part of it was very good, I think that it does, the fact that this article, and bully for Jason for dropping it, a few days later, ripping that thing out and hitting a very interesting time to be releasing that article. I think that it wasn't necessary. It does not look good. It continues to make CD Projekt Red not look good. It brings us back to that, as much as I'm sure they feel very sorry, they are either lying or stupid.
Yeah.
And
It continues to make,
that's not a way to get us back.
yeah. And at this point, I look at that timeline that he said, and it's like, oh, next gen versions are out, maybe the second half of this year.
Right.
And to me, it says, well, I don't even have to think about this until the next half of the year. And
right.
But the problem is, like, other people have played it. And are you going to get a mass of people to come back to a game that is not an ongoing game?
Mm-hmm. Wow, your camera has been bad, but it is now lagging so badly. Like, you look like a bad 70s kung fu movie.
I didn't even open any other tab.
No, and it's really funny because on my, I've got a line that you all can't see of the original, like video coming from Nick, and it looks not bad, but what's on the screen looks horrible from you. Yeah, I don't know. AC Ray says someone swept the leg. So anyway, that is all of the greasy details, everything that you would want to know about the CD Projekt Red clusterfuck that happened this week. And I can guarantee you that the clusterfuckadry is not going to go away anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a long item. You want to hit the next item?
Yeah, I thought that this was the bigger news. Like,
Yeah.
instead of kicking the dying horse that is Cyberpunk.
Come on, that horse is clearly not dead yet.
No, it's not. That's why I said dying. It's not dead. It refuses to die.
Yeah, no,
it because we just fucking die, horse, please, for your own good.
There's too many people angry about that horse for it to go away. And CD Projekt Red keeps on insisting that the horse is fine. They're really sorry that the horse is going very slowly, but it's their fault that they didn't take care of the horse. Yeah, but we're going to do our best to make this horse work. And everybody else saying, dude, the horse is dead.
Just put it down. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Just let's all agree the horse is down, and just put a bullet in it.
We're going to give it a cybernetic leg. It'll be cool.
It's just suffering. But anyway, here's your big story.
Yeah. So Disney announced the creation of Lucasfilm Games, which is an arm of Disney, an arm of Lucasfilm that will focus on creating games. Not as a developer. There's still no in-house Disney developer. They're just going to focus on licensing out Lucasfilm IPs. And
licensing them out, not exclusively to EA. That's the big news, is that Star Wars is now free from the shackles of EA games.
So part of that was, EA announced that they're still working on Star Wars games. But in addition to that, Ubisoft announced that they are working on an open world Star Wars game. Specifically, the developer of The Division and Division 2 is working on an open world Star Wars game. So it very much seems like both parties, Disney and EA, were unhappy with how that exclusive agreement turned out over the past several years.
Well, they only put out 4 games.
Yeah.
That's, and none of them were,
like, they were all successful, huge. But they were also, Battlefront 2 kind of was the center of a whole industry-wide controversy that maybe Disney was not appreciative of.
Right. Yeah, if you're going to fuck up, don't fuck up on the IP.
Yeah. But also, like, what I remember hearing is that that exclusivity deal was made with the former head of EA.
Right.
And then when the current head of EA came in, he was like, what, exclusive with Star Wars? We don't own Star Wars. This is a bad deal. Fuck this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
really did not focus on making Star Wars games. Like, that was kind of a purposeful thing to not take advantage of that license.
Right. And I think that not only is Lucas happy to be walking away from this agreement, I think that, yeah, like you said, I think EA is not entirely heartbroken that it's ending as
Yeah.
well. You know, as long as they still have the ability to be able to negotiate for a licensing of a game, I don't think that they want to be the licensee of all games.
They're just not interested enough in the license.
Right.
And so in addition to Ubisoft making an open world game, they announced that Machine Games, the developer of Wolfenstein, is going to be making an Indiana Jones game.
Right.
Which I'll be curious to see how that turns out, because I think there has only been one good Indiana Jones game, and it was the point-and-click adventure from the 90s.
What is Massive Games done? They've done Massive Games.
Massive. That was the Division.
Oh, that's right, Division. Yeah. So, and I could see that being you know, if there was something along that same wireframe of the Division, but in the Indiana Jones universe, I wouldn't hate it.
Massive is doing Star Wars.
Who's
Machine
doing
Games is doing
Machine
Indiana
Games?
Jones.
Okay.
Which, again, feels like a weird combination, because Wolfenstein does not feel like a template for an Indiana Jones game.
Right. I'm trying to think. What is Machine? Oh, Wolfenstein. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I think that's another a frame of games that I would not be against.
But
I
like,
think
Indiana Jones doesn't go around gunning down people.
No, but he definitely gets into fights and uses, I mean, Wolfenstein is a lot about using the environment for your advantage. And I could see that with just even that game with an Indiana Jones skin, it would make sense.
Yeah.
And they really love fighting Nazis.
True, but yeah, again, I feel like the reason Uncharted is like the best game adaptation of Indiana Jones is because Uncharted was made with the idea that, you know, it will be a video game. And even then, people are like, oh, Nathan Drake is a charming guy, but he sure murders a lot of people. But, you know, it's fine because we see him in a game. Like, that's just what he's known to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it would feel weird for Indiana Jones to go around and shoot a bunch of people the same way Nathan Drake does.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the trailer for it. It's not much, but it looks cool.
And I will say, in the chat, AC Wraith gets it right in that Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis is the best Indiana Jones game.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is. So, and then the other game that were announced was that Ubisoft would be making a game as well, a Star Wars game, which I love that idea. And I say that knowing that Ubisoft hopefully is getting itself sorted out with its other problems. They make good games. They just do.
Yeah, generally.
There's no getting around that. As opposed to CD Projekt Red, who doesn't really know why they're successful and doesn't really know how they make a successful game. Ubisoft absolutely knows how they make a successful game and knows how to do it right. So, yeah, I'm kind of excited for. Do we even have a trailer for that yet? I mean, shoot.
No, we don't. We got nothing.
Bethesda put one out. And by the way, that's Bethesda is going to be publishing that.
Yeah, so no one has talked about whether that means it'll be a Microsoft exclusive, since Microsoft now owns Bethesda. But I assume Disney is a big enough company that if they wanted it to be multi-platform, Bethesda and Microsoft could make it multi-platform.
Yeah, so the Ubisoft game is supposedly a new story-driven open world Star Wars game, which I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Massive. Well, Massive is doing something else. I'm not really quite
No,
sure.
Massive is the Ubisoft company.
Is it?
Yeah. Massive's owned by Ubisoft.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. So yeah, it's going to be good. An open world Star Wars game? Yes, please.
It could be good.
I will
see.
have seconds. Of course, if EA changed the landscape of gaming with their whole loot box issue with a Star Wars game, I would say that CD Projekt Red has very much changed the landscape, for me at least, as far as pre-ordering. I don't know that I will ever pre-order a game again.
That's probably good attitude to have.
Ooh, wow, you're getting really bad. Do you want to hang up and come back?
I mean, I would have to reboot to
I think you need to
actually
reboot because your audio is now starting to go down.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even change anything.
I know you didn't, but it's not good.
Okay, I will be right back then.
Yeah. All right. So sorry about that. So I might as well hit my next item. It's kind of a small one. Sort of small. WB Games announced on Thursday that they have very quietly disabled all the online services for Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, which is really funny that we mentioned Shadow of Mordor in this show. So that means you can still play Shadow of Mordor, but if you do, you will not have the Nemesis Forge and the Vendetta missions. And the Nemesis Forge, as a reminder, that was the one where you could play the big boss or any big orc that you had found and encountered and fought. You could play them in a sandbox mode with all skills enabled. So essentially it was like boss fight sandbox. So with the servers now being down, you cannot import your nemesis or follower from Shadow of Mordor into Shadow of War. And so that's one of the reasons why that's happening. The other one, the Vendetta missions, which I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed the Vendetta missions. Those were the missions where if you got beat by an orc, a vendetta would be created and you wouldn't exact your vendetta on that orc. That orc would be kind of sent into the server and then populated out to other players that you could, as a player, get a vendetta on an orc that killed somebody else. And you would get extra points and extra perks for that. So essentially, you could take out that other orc for somebody else. It was like essentially us versus them. And I used that one a lot. I really enjoyed the Vendetta missions. And I also love the fact that if I got beat by somebody, it was nice to know it's like, oh, somebody's going to get them back for me. And they're going to get a few extra points out of it, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. Taking it personal. So, the achievements, in addition, achievements of The Hunt is My Mistress and Lord of the Ring, that's two of the achievements in that game, are now unlockable. You can not, you can't unlock them because there is no server because I think they both either dealt with the Nemesis Forge or the Vendetta missions. And access to the leaderboards is now cut off. So if you were on the leaderboards, I hope you took a screenshot. Hunt of My Mistress, yeah, that's part of the Trials of the War DLC and the Test of the Wild challenge mode. And the Lord of the Ring was given for the Test of the Ring challenged. So yeah, that's all that happening. So I'm still waiting for Nick to come back, and I am out of topics. So what are y'all playing? Yeah, AC Ray says Vendettas were fun. Yeah, I liked the Vendetta system. It was one of the few systems in that game that I actually really liked, and I played the shit out of that game. It is one of those games that I started playing, and it was only like 60 or 70 hours in that I began to realize, you know what, this is not a very good game, which kind of defeats the point. But I kept on expecting it to be better, and it just didn't ever get any better. AC Wraith just gave me a article that I have to look up by hand because I cannot just click on a topic here about Best Buy. Best Buy is supposedly ending all current Gamers Club memberships on March 21st. Let me pull up. Sorry. All right, yeah. So this I see only in Reddit, but that's been posted that there's an important announcement about the Gamers Club Unlocked membership. Current Gamers Club Unlocked members will be refunded the purchase price of unexpired memberships, and they're going to mail you a refund check that's going to be equal to $30 for each membership. So if you are a member of the that club, of the Unlocked Club, Gamers Club Unlocked, then you are going to want to watch your mail, and don't throw away anything from Best Buy, because it might be a check. And so let's see. The checks are going to be apparently received by the end of March 2021. And if you want to receive your check, you need to log into your account at this website. It is bestbuy.com/profile/C/address/shipping. And I'm going to post it here in a banner so that you can see it. This is where you want to to click in to make sure that they have your correct information in order to get your refund for that. You need to confirm your primary address, that it's up to date, and the benefits are going to remain active through February 28th, so the end of February. So if you want to use that Gamers Club or have any perks that are available on it, any points, you need to use those before the end of February. If you have any questions about that, you need to call Best Buy about it. Here is their number. It is 1-888-BEST-BUY or 237-8289. That's where you need to call if you have any questions about the account, about getting your refund, and making sure that you can use it as all the way up to the last minute if you need to. And we still don't have Nick. So, what else you got going? What's going on with your life? What are you all playing right now? And what do you want to see us play? Because, we do have these streaming machines now that stream way better than anything before. According to AC Wraith, Scott from in-game chat was paid until 2032 because he used gift card hacks back in the day. Now he's getting a refund for each subscription period. Oh, that's a bit of a bonus. So 2032. How much money would that be? Let me pull up my calculator here. So 2032 minus 2021. No, it'd be 2021. That is 11 years times 30. That is $330. Bonus. There's Nick. So Nick, hey, just so you know, did you know that are you a member of Best Buy's Gamers Club Unlocked? Okay, then it doesn't matter. It's being discontinued, and they're refunding everybody for their years of whatever they have unexpired.
Okay.
$30 a year. So yeah, Scott has bank coming his way. Yes, he does. AC Ray says, I've been playing Soul Calibur 6, mostly grinding in Libras of Souls mode. And he fired up his GameCube.
Huh.
Wow. Hopefully it didn't catch fire.
No, GameCube wouldn't. Nintendo
Bartender,
makes stuff that lasts.
bartenders say he wants retro video game talk. We are so not the retro game video.
I still say, hey, motherfucker. Anyways, one of the games I downloaded, I'm still enjoying, is the 360 SSX.
I don't know. Is that considered retro?
It's a 360 game at this point.
Is this is that retro?
I mean, by definition, it would have to be, right?
It's kind of
Or-
like
or
saying,
is-
would new wave be considered oldies? No. Oldies are from the 50s and 60s.
So then what is
Classic rock
what's
is
from
the 70s. 80s would be new wave. So I wouldn't.
So
call-
new wave is no longer new, is what
new
you're
wave
saying.
is no longer new. No.
So
it
what
is
is the new wave?
That's a good question. What is the new wave as opposed
Yeah.
to the old new wave? I think new wave will always be new. It will always be new wave. So I don't know. Is that your definition? Would you call a 360 game a retro game, bartender?
Yeah. What is his definition? I would call it that.
Yeah, Gully used to do some retro. Yeah. Commander Tim absolutely did a lot of retro games, but I don't do retro games because, to be honest, the era of games that are considered retro, I wasn't playing games. I played Commodore. For me, a retro game would be a Commodore game. I played Commodore and Atari and stopped playing games and did not come back to gaming except PC gaming in like the 90s. And it was the 90s? No. When was Phantasmagoria is what got me back into gaming.
See, I haven't played those retro games because I don't think I was born then.
That game came out in 1995. So yeah. I started playing that in 95, and that was like the first video game that I had played pretty much since, the Commodore 64 days.
Like, I had a Sega Genesis growing up, but I would say I didn't get into games until the Nintendo 64. So
Right.
basically for me, Nintendo 64 is like, that's a retro game.
Right.
The original PlayStation, that's a retro game.
Right. Those are considered classic retro games. And for me, that was the year. I think I saw the Nintendo 64 one day when I was in college and I was with my boyfriend and we went into a Toys R Us and there was a kiosk for the Nintendo 64. I'm like, holy crap, that looks good. And that was the only thing that I saw of Nintendo 64. That was like, ooh, wow, games have gotten really good. And then I moved on. I go looking for something else, whatever I was looking for in Toys R Us. So yeah, that is the extent of my retro game experience firsthand. And retro games just don't hold it for me because my love was for role-playing games. Those are the role-playing games of the PC generation of the 90s. Those are the things that made me go, I love this, and I'm not embarrassed to say so.
Yeah, I remember playing Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
To me, that's a good N64 retro game.
Yeah, and a advertising campaign that would not fly today. Oh, not at all. Don't you remember that one?
Conker's? Yeah.
Conker 64,
What's funny is they had
advertising campaign where the girl is pretty much backing him off.
I don't remember that. What I remember though is they put out an Xbox remake of that. An original Xbox remake of that.
Right. Is this it? Yeah, there we go. Found it.
Old Conker's Bad Fur Day ad.
Yeah, I've got it. Let's see. I gotta get this out of here. I gotta stop this screen. I gotta add this screen. No, and I want to share the audio so you can hear it and play.
So we're partying last night.
Yeah, it would not fly.
Dude, we got on the bar and started pissing all over these freaking bikers. These cats started a fight.
What does this have to do with the game?
Here, and he goes all night.
What is with that fucking burping?
Trashed.
This is so 90s.
A hangover's never pretty. But a squirrel with a hangover, that's just obscene. Conker's Bad for a Day. Rated M for mature.
Yeah, you like that, baby? Yeah, I know you do. I know you like that.
God.
Instantly banned if it was up today. I can't, the things that you boys got away with, because that was back
Yeah.
when it was like, oh, video games are for boys.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. Conquer Live and Reloaded. There you go. There's the link for it. Yeah, the whole game would not fly today. Agreed.
God, part of me wants to play that again.
Just seeing that ad made you want to play it again?
No, just talking about it made me want to play it because I remember renting it and enjoying it.
All right, so let's getting back on the news now that you are reloaded and you look and sound much better. Oh, he's talking to his cats.
He's meowing like he's getting stepped on. Like his tail getting stepped on.
So what's your next item?
Okay, so I had one. Sony put out a trailer showcasing a lot of the upcoming PlayStation games for the Consumer Electronics Show.
Mm-hmm.
That trailer was uploaded on Monday, January 11th. And at the end, there was some small fine print that included a bunch of release date information for the games they had mentioned. Specifically, they mentioned Ratchet and Clank is coming 2021. Horizon Forbidden West is coming 2021. Other newer things, Returnal had a specific release date of 3/19/2021, so 19th of next month. Pragmata was set for 2023. Solar Ash for 2021. Kenna for 2021. Stray October 2021. Same with Ghostwire Tokyo. Little Devil Inside was for July this year. Project Athia, the Untitled Square Enix game they showed off, was coming next year. All that stuff. They have since updated the showcase video to basically just say Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, and Returnal coming this year.
Right.
And that's it. So yeah, it seems like someone put in a bunch of trademark information, release date, and then was like, oh shit, this isn't public.
Whoops. But so what were the dates again on those? Let's go through those one at a time.
Yeah. Let me try to get a better list. So, Returnal is coming out next month, and that's something that they kept. That's sort of new information.
Right. Well, I mean, it's hard to hide that you're coming out in February, January.
So other stuff coming this year was Solar Ash, Kenna Bridge of Spirits, Stray, Ghostwire Tokyo, Little Devil Inside.
Okay.
And those are all this year. And then in 2022 is Project Athia, or Athia. And then 2023 is Pragmata.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right. That's a solid lineup. If all of those numbers are true and they hold to those, that is a very solid lineup for 2021.
Yeah. Especially when you consider, I think the two Bethesda games, Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop. They didn't
Mhm.
mention Deathloop, but I think both of those are still PlayStation exclusives. Even though Microsoft bought Bethesda, I think those exclusive deals were still in place. So those two games will be exclusive for like a year.
Right. And that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Any other things you've got? I've got nothing.
I just saw. So yeah, I have one, and then another thing I just saw. Did you ever play Control?
I never played Control. No, I know you played the hell out of it. You
Mhm.
really liked it.
Control is coming to Game Pass on the 21st.
Really?
Mhm.
On January 21st?
Yep, 4 days.
That I will absolutely consider picking up. I've got the problem with Game Pass is there are now so many games that are in my queue
Right?
of things that I want to play.
Right.
And every
Yeah.
time that I start playing one of them, I'm like, oh, but I really should. Like, I still have yet to finish Valhalla, and I'm already in Tsushima. And now I'm playing Cities, and it's like, oh, I have really got to multitask on this one. Is anybody else having that issue of feeling like there's just almost too many games right now that you need to start like spreading out your gaming, and especially if you have two consoles?
I mean, I feel like there's a lot to play, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's giving me a degree of completionist stress.
So
I don't
I
like not
feel
completing things. I
yeah,
feel like I'm a bad gamer for that.
okay. I feel like in that case, you just need to give up completing Valhalla, because I think that game is like the game that never ends. From what
Yeah.
I hear, that game is fucking big.
It is.
So-
It is. Oh God, it is so big. Where can we look? You can't look online. You have to look on your console to find out how many hours that you've played, right? Can you look on your own
Yeah,
profile?
I think you need the console.
Yeah, I have to look on the console to see how many hours I played it. But I played a lot of hours on that game to the point of where it's like, oh, it's so big. Now it's becoming almost a job. Like I should be paid for this at this point. They need to pay me to complete this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a game that I definitely want to pick up. I don't know. It does the story make you want to? That's the thing. The story has to make me want to propel myself further. And I've gotten to the point in the story where it's now not really gripping me and pushing me forward to finish Valhalla.
Yeah. And see, I think it's fine to drop a game then, because I think that's a failure of the game, not you.
Thank you. Anytime you can blame somebody else for my problems is
Yeah,
okay
yeah,
with me.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Good musician always blames his tools.
Yeah.
Always
No,
blames his
Not
instruments.
blames the tools, blame the venue.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had a bad sound setup.
They're
That's my
bounce
fault.
bed sound
My
system. That's
equipment
why I
is
played so
great.
shitty.
The venue, they didn't know how to set up sound. Terrible. Sounded like a bathroom.
So yeah, that's good to know. God, that the Game Pass it's good. I'm not gonna lie, it is really good.
Yeah.
For $15 a month, I'm finding myself feeling very reticent about buying a game because it's like, it'll come to Game Pass eventually. Like Tropico. In a less enlightened time, I might have purchased Tropico for the PlayStation 4 if it was on sale. But I'm looking at it going, you know what? I bet you it's going to show up on Game Pass. I'm not going to buy it for the PlayStation 4. I'm just going to wait for Game Pass.
Yeah, and there's a solid chance that it would.
Exactly. Although none of the Tropico games are there. They obviously have to make some kind of agreement with Calypso.
I mean, again, there's still like the free PS Plus games. Like, you're still getting those each month too.
Right, but I never really downloaded the free PS Plus games. I just for something about the fact that the Game Pass is on demand whenever I want it, as opposed to, oh, I gotta download it this month, or it's 4 games I really don't care about. It's like so many games, and it's like, what do you feel like? It's like a poo-poo platter. What do you feel like eating? And the fact that it's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't have to worry about doing it before the 15th of the month or the 31st of the month. And if I missed it, it's like, oh fuck, I missed it. No, it's there. That's anytime I want it.
Oh, there are some games that go off of Game Pass.
Right. But that's one thing. It's one thing to go off
Yeah.
of Game Pass. That's like saying Netflix. It's like it's going off of Netflix.
Yes.
By that point, if you haven't watched it, then it's kind of sort of your own fault.
And thankfully, there is like sub menu in Game Pass that says games leaving this month or like at the end of the month, and so oh hey, I wanted to play that. I'll play that.
Yeah. So Bartender Say actually asks a very good question, Nick, that I want to know now that you have both the Xbox One X and Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. Why are you not streaming some of the games that you play? And I'm right up there. I mean, I have streamed, but I don't stream enough, but I've streamed more than you.
I could, yeah, it's just not in my wheelhouse of skills. Like, I could certainly do more and try to do more.
Just turn it on. You don't even have to talk. Just turn it on and play, just so that people can see what you're playing. Yeah, just do it. No reason not to. I'll stream City Skyline. Do you want me to stream City Skyline? That's the other thing, is that I think to myself, do I really want to stream? Do you really want to watch me play something poorly? And I think that's probably the biggest reason. I am not the greatest game player. I'm okay, but I am significantly worse. I would say I would be in the middle to lower 50% of abilities. And when you're putting yourself out on streaming, there's that part of you, especially as a female gamer, especially as a older female gamer, that you're a little afraid that someone is just going to come in there and pass judgment on your gameplay. Whereas if you're playing at home, you know nobody's looking at you. If you can't fucking dodge in Ghost of Tsushima, oh, fine. You know, nobody knows. It's your own secret shame. But when you're putting it on streaming, that secret shame is a real thing. And for me, as a older female gamer, that's very much a thing. I know that I am in many ways carrying a torch for other female gamers my age, and that people looking at me, seeing me play badly, might make the incorrect assumption that all women of my age play this badly. And it is a real thing. It's not a big thing in my head, but it definitely exists. And it's kind of a sad thing that that's the case, but it is true. I am not the greatest player, and I fail miserably in really stupid ways. And sometimes I have to lower the difficulty down to easy in order to do it. And I know that there are aspersions cast because of that. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. But I will endeavor to try to do more, because I'm tough. I don't really give a shit what people say, and I say that out loud. But there's also that part of me that's like, I just really don't want to have to deal with having to justify my existence as a gamer.
But I did think at one point when I was playing through Demon's Souls, like as I was going through a level and just playing, I had a running commentary in my head. You know, like, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm trying to do this. Oh shit, that went bad. We'll try to do this. Oh man, this really sucks. I don't know what's behind this corner. Things like that. Just a running commentary. And at a certain point, I realized, oh shit, if I stream this is literally what streamers do. They just make the running commentary in their head verbal. They just say it.
Yeah, you should stream then. I will make a promise to you, bartender. I will stream even my stupid old games like City Skyline, and I will be fearless. But Nick, you have to promise me you're going to do the same thing. Nick,
I will try. I will try to
Okay.
do more.
Yeah, hell, we might even have to compete. Remember when streaming first came out, we actually had to call each other, going, "Hey, are you streaming now? Because I don't want to go on the stream if you're streaming." Back in the day. So what are our IDs? I will put up our gamer. I should have a banner for that anyway, just so we have it. So my banner on PSN and PSN and Xbox. Come on, fingers. Is Gamer Edie. That's me. Nick, what are you?
Here, I can send you a private chat. That way you get.
I can't just read it off because I don't
Okay,
think that I can copy paste.
Oh, for Xbox, it's Alsop Live.
Just say
Capital.
Xbox.
Yeah. I don't know if capitalization matters, but it's capital A, then lowercase LSOP. Capital L, IVE. So just Alsop Live with.
Mm-hmm.
And then for PSN, it's capital E, then lowercase VOL.
PSN, capital. Started over again.
Capital E, then lowercase VOL. No zero. I thought it was a zero, but it wasn't.
I thought it was a 2.
I'm not, apparently. I'm not that lame. Capital A, Alsop, and it's just capitalized. So, you know.
All right, so that's Nick.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. So I guess we're at the end of the show. No reason to keep going.
I did have one more story.
Of course you did.
Yeah. So Hitman 3 is coming
Drunk
out.
streaming? Yes. You don't want to see me streaming drunk. That's all kinds of bad.
I did get a lot of alcohol from my parents for my birthday. Some good stuff.
Really? What did you get?
My dad. So I had gotten my dad for Christmas a 10-year-old Tawny Port.
Ooh, nice.
And then I had some of his, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is actually really good." So he got me my own bottle.
Oh, nice. Oh, look at you drinking port like a real gentleman.
And then, because my mom had some stomach troubles, and so she's like, "I don't want to drink alcohol just to like ease it." So I basically got a bunch of Chardonnay from her. That was basically like, I'm not going to drink this, so here you have it.
Yeah. Secondhand liquor is the best. Okay, here's my secondhand liquor story. So
3 bottles.
You know how people will put stuff out on the curb, like curb alert?
Oh no! Did you get curb alcohol?
Somebody left out curb beer, and it was a craft beer, like one of those ones where it's the tall cans, like some local craft beer, Berryessa beer craft beer company, and it was one of those tall cans. And in a 4-pack that usually run like $6 or $8 for the 4-pack. And one of them was obviously they drank one and were like, "Oh, that's awful." And then they just stuck it out on the curb. So I'm out walking my dog and I'm like, is that, among all this other stuff, there was like, some other tchotchkes and stuff. And then I look over, I'm like, is that beer? And I was like, I'm looking at it. I'm like, what's wrong with it? I'm like, that's all beer. So I took it home, drank it.
Picked up beer.
It wasn't very good.
From the street in the middle of a pandemic.
Right? Right. And it was raining. So, it had all that good, flotsam and jetsam that comes out of the atmosphere over the
No, rain is good. You can drink rainwater. So if anything, that cleaned the
dude, I live
off of it.
I live down the street from a refinery. No, you do not want to drink rainwater in this town.
No, you've just got that good flavorful acid rain. That's what
You're
you
right.
got.
We've got the we're down the street from a one of the biggest oil refineries in the nation, which is also down the street from one of the biggest chemical manufacturers in the nation, which is right next to the HelloFresh distribution warehouse.
Oh yes,
So
fresh.
just so you know where your
Fresh.
HelloFresh is coming from, it's right next to the chemical plant.
Yeah. I like in the chat, AC Wraith has jumped ahead. I mentioned Hitman 3, and he's like, well, this must be what they're going to talk about.
Yep. All right, that's right. I forgot about your Hitman 3. Hit your Hitman 3 article, my friend.
Okay, so Hitman 3 is coming out. One of the selling points about Hitman 3 is that for consoles, you get the content from Hitman 1 and Hitman 2 with Hitman 3. Or not that you get the content, but like if you have it, it all carries over. So all you have to do is like put in the disc for Hitman 3 and you can access all the stuff from Hitman 2 and Hitman 1 in it. Which is cool.
Kinda nice.
Like everything, all of your progress and all the content is getting carried forward.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're on PC. Specifically, unless you're getting it from the Epic Store. Because Hitman 3 is exclusive to the Epic Store for a limited time. If you buy it there, your content from Hitman 1 will carry forward because Hitman 1 is also available on the Epic Store. But you will have to re-buy the content from Hitman 2 has DLC because Hitman 2 is not actually available on the Epic Store.
Right.
But it is available on Steam. So IO and Epic has since come out and said that this is not the case and that basically the Access Pass that gives you access to Hitman 2 has DLC will be free for all PC players who pre-order the game. Or what is this? Or it will be free for the first 10 days of release. Basically, because the online storefront situation for PC has gotten complicated with Steam and Epic Early Access and Epic Exclusive Access, something that is a lot easier to do on consoles has now become complicated on PC. So it is a difficult situation. If you do a lot of your PC gaming on Steam, Epic has come along and kind of thrown a wrench into some things. And this is one of those situations.
Well, at least they're trying to unwrenchify it.
Yes, at least they're offering everything for free.
Right. Right.
Well, they're giving you the ability to get things for free.
Right. All right. So anything else before we close out this show, Nick?
Yes, I am on the Microsoft webpage for Conquer Live and Reloaded, and it says available on Xbox Series X and S. And it's only $10. So I might have... No.
Huh.
I have the disc in my closet buried under some stuff. I should pull out that Xbox disc and stick it in the Series X to see what happens.
When you do, you should, if you get it up and running, you should stream it. Either way, if you play it, you should stream it. Stream it for Bartender. Bartender wants some Conquers for a day. Let's do it. Bad for a day. All right. So anything else before we close out the show?
No.
All right.
That's all
So
I've got.
let's wait for it. Close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 579. We recorded this on Sunday, January 17th, 2021. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola. And oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, next week we will not have a show. We are gonna be dark. The reason, it's a long, complicated reason why, but unless Andrew can get his shit together and do the show,
Blame Andrew.
I'm going to blame Andrew. Um,
Aw.
no, we're just not going to be. I'm busy, and chances are that Andrew, given that his car has now been fucked up, and he only has his days off to be able to handle it. I'm assuming that he's going to be dealing with this for a while. So we are going to be dark this next week. So no show on the 24th. The next show we will have is January 31st, just so you know. So yeah, there's that. Continuing on. We record this show live almost every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern here on Spreaker. That's Speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. That is our audio show. We also have our video version. You can actually see us do this show live here on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitch. On YouTube and Twitch, we are the GameHounds, and on Twitch and Facebook, we are the GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS, as in videos. Please feel free to join us 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on here at any of those locations on Sundays. We are dark again next Sunday. Our next show is going to be January 31st. You can contact us anytime on social media. Obviously, our Facebook page is The Gamehounds. We are at Gamehounds on Twitter. Yes, we are there, and you can absolutely contact us there. You can always email us at gamehounds@gmail.com. And of course, there is our website, gamehounds.net, not .com. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you to everybody in the chat room. Ryan Stevenson, AC Wraith, Bartenders Say, thank you for being here. We had Corey Wallace. We had Blood Reaper. We had, who else? A ton of other people that I am. David Steven, thank you for being here. If I missed your name, I am so sorry, but thank you for joining us. Also, don't forget, we do have a Patreon. Please subscribe to our Patreon. $1 a month is all we ask. It helps pay for the service that does this video streaming, because I pay for out of my own pocket all the other stuff that gets this show up on the ground, keeps it up since the beginning. But for $1 a month, that's all we're asking so that we can keep this video going. Thank you to everyone who is our patron, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a great week. Be safe, be kind, and most importantly, be good. Talk to y'all later. Bye. And the music is going. Also, if you are on the YouTube and also the Twitch, hit the thumbs up button. I see quite a few people here watching the show right now, and I only seen one thumbs up on YouTube. That, my friends, is a travesty. That is just not fair. Just hit the thumbs up button on this show, because it really actually does make a huge difference.
Like and subscribe. I believe the buttons would be right there.
Yeah, I think they are. They're right over where Nick. There we go. Where Nick is pointing. Yeah, the like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you are on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who's watching, and I'll probably be streaming Cities Skyline later tonight. What are you going to be playing, Nick?
I want to finish Call of the Sea, and then I don't know. I'll find something else.
All right. You might want to stream Call of Sea. It's up to you guys in the chat room.
I don't want to stream the very end. That's
oh, that's true. You're gonna wreck. Yeah, you're gonna wreck it. All right, so I'll just stream. Yeah, there's no spoilers in City Skyline. I realized I have fucked up my city beyond all repair. I made a tactical error in my city, and I'm trying to decide if I need to fix my city or if I need to start the fuck over, and I think it's start the fuck over. If you're in the United States, do yourself a favor and don't choose the left-hand driving, because then you design a city that's just all bad. just
Why
very
would you choose left-hand driving?
because it said that the building style default on the map that I was using was European. So I'm like, yeah, we'll go left-hand driving. So, but then I put a bunch of stuff on the right-hand side of the city, and like all of my industry, including my my power plants. And when things get difficult, like traffic gets difficult, it means that all of the cars coming in need to cross over traffic to go to the left-hand side, to the right-hand side of the city. And it's like, oh, and it's just making things bad. And it's going to cost me millions to fix it. So I'm trying to decide if I want to just start it all over and do it the right way.
Probably.
Probably.
I also know in the chat, Blood Reaper had asked a couple times about watching Fire Force in Discord. And I don't know when Andrew's there, but
Fire Force.
yeah, he'll have to stream it.
Because you're past your 14-day trial, right? I'm trying to decide if I want to do the Funimation account. I might want to do it, but I'm trying to save up for something that is hellaciously expensive and probably irresponsible. So I'm trying to be responsible in all other ways so I can rationalize being irresponsible with my money.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm thinking of getting a Peloton. After I made so much fun of the Peloton ad last year, not this last year, but the year before, that Peloton Christmas ad.
Mm-hmm.
It was just such an awful ad. And I made so much fun of it. And now I'm thinking of getting one just because A, I'm stuck in the house. B, COVID has not been kind to me. I have not been kind to myself through COVID. And realistically, I could be at home working and still be on my Peloton.
So I know the Pelotons are expensive, but like it's just a stationary bike, right? Can't you just get a stationary bike? Isn't it? Or are you paying for like there's some sort of video service attached to it?
Right. It is the stationary bike with the integrated video, and then you have to pay a monthly fee for the video. And they have classes and stuff. And I've one of my favorite things, I mean, if you know, like talk about exercise, I freaking love spin classes. I have always been, I mean, I know it doesn't look like it, but at one point I was a very avid cyclist. In fact, I still have my incredibly, stupidly expensive bike in the basement because I just can't bring myself, even though it's not worth nearly what it was because it's a 25-year-old technology, but it was, top of the line technology at the time. But yeah, I mean, I was dating a cyclist. I was dating cyclists, plural, and was a real cyclist, road cyclist for a while. And I have the problem with spin classes is that they are in gyms across town, and I cannot get off my ass to go do them. But if I have it in my house, I will absolutely go to a spin class. If I just have to literally cross the room in order to get on, it's just the getting my ass out of the couch and going to go do it. I could definitely get out of my couch and go do it if it's like here. Okay. And if it's also live people who will say, "Where's Edie?" If people expect me, I will be there. If people are not expecting me, I will absolutely drop everything and be a total.
Is that like what the video thing is? Is it's a live thing? It's not just pre-recorded?
They have pre-recorded, but yeah, they have live spin classes with a live spin instructor.
Okay. So that's part of why it's expensive. It's not just the bike. You're signing up for what's essentially like a home gym membership.
It's a home gym membership.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it is.
It's
essentially accountability is what it is. You're paying, was it the $20, $30 a month for accountability, right?
So then shouldn't you just buy a different bike and pay less so that you don't have accountability?
If I did, then I would just, it's the choice.
You would use it.
The choice of an $1,800 bike that I will ride or an $800 bike that will hang my clothes and like my laundry. If I have the, because that's what we've got. That's what I'm working with. It's either going to be a coat closet or it's going to be a bike. And that's the difference in the price.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Blood Reaper in the chat, going back to anime, said
Yeah.
I guess he can stream it.
Ooh. We may have to do that.
Yeah. And I have seen Letterkenny. I've seen almost all of Letterkenny. It's a very good show.
Yes, it is. All right. Yeah. The Mr. Maynard, that's pretty ridiculous right now. Yeah.
Oh, wait, Ryan Stevenson said his bike was $7K?
You mean your road bike?
Fuck.
Mine wasn't 7,000, but it was in the neighborhood.
I didn't realize bikes got that expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, bikes are that expensive. I mean, there are some bikes that are in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. They are so light you could pick them up with one finger, and nobody needs to be riding those unless you are competitive. But yeah, competitive bikes, competitive bike wheels will alarm you the price of those. So what kind of bike did you have? Oh, his mountain bike. Yeah. Competitive mountain bikes are going to be that expensive too. They can be upwards of $15,000. So yeah. Yeah. Mine wasn't 7,000. Mine, I mean, granted, I bought mine 25 years ago. So I bought mine in 1990. God. Yeah. 20 years ago, 22 years ago. And he was like 90, 91. And I spent 4,500. So, I mean, dollar cost averaging, it's probably up around in that $7,000 range. Yeah, his is a mid-level at 7,000.
A Scott Spock 720, he said.
Mm-hmm. Cycling is not, you have to be, I mean, if you want to get into it competitively and hardcore, it is not a cheap thing. You can't just go out and use your Schwinn. Although Schwinn has some very good bikes. Anyway, have a great night.
Okay,
Talk to you later.
we can talk about the anime stuff in Discord.
Yes, go to
That'd be a good place
Discord to talk about it. Yep. And if you want to find our Discord, you can go to our Facebook page and find that link. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bye. Be safe. Wear your fucking mask.